Welcome back to another edition of the Rossetti and Stewart Podcast. Today we are coming to you from the Center for Media Innovation here at PennWest University. I'm joined by Justin. Thank you for joining as always.
No problem.
And we have one special guest from Cal U of PA. It's called PennWest now, I believe.
PennWest Cal.
PennWest.
I hate it though.
I don't like the new name either. I think they merged like a bunch, but I do want to say thank you for coming on the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. I'm doing pretty good too. Yeah, Kavon's birthday was a couple weeks ago now.
Yes, sir.
How was your birthday?
It was good, man.
Happy belated birthday, by the way.
Appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
It was good. I just had an XFL showcase that day, so I didn't really do too much. Got back in my crib around like 6 or 7. Just hanging with the fam and kicked back, ate some good food, and that was it.
Yeah. Justin, how about you? How have you been doing?
I've been good, man. Just doing the internship, wrapping up here the next couple of weeks. But otherwise, I can't complain. Got a couple more interviews to do today as well for the internship, just to finish out some voiceover pieces. But otherwise, just got paid today, so that's always a good thing. And, life's good right now. I can't complain too much.
Yeah, for me, just got back from vacay, like literally on Sunday. I went to Disney World. Now that I'm back, it's high school football season's next month, so I cover a game every Friday, and I got scheduled to write 6 articles about football for preseason previews, Avella, Newcastle, Fort Cherry, Olsh, and like 2 more. But it's going to be a busy week. I feel like as soon as you get back from vacation, that's what you can expect, though. So
For sure, most definitely.
yeah, but anyways, thank you for coming on. And before we start, I know we do the quick hitter segment. Did you have any in mind?
Not really, because I've just been busy. But I'm just trying to think real quick. The Pirates won a game yesterday. That's my quick hitter. They've I don't know. Do you follow baseball?
I do. I watch the Pirates. I do.
So I don't know if you saw, but the Guardians looked like the 27 Yankees the first 2 games of the series.
Oh yeah, they was hitting crazy.
And they're not even that really that good of an offense. Their pitching's what really carries them. But obviously Josh Naylor and Jose Ramirez, they're the 2 best players this year on offense. But everyone was mashing the ball. Josh Bell's been up and down all year. He had 2 home runs during the series. He played well. Everyone was hitting the ball, and I'm glad yesterday they won a game. But their pitching is pretty much not good anymore. Mitch Keller got lit up. That was probably his worst start of his career. Not saying something, but Rich Hill was okay yesterday, and I know Andy Rodriguez finally got his first hit yesterday too. But the Pirates tomorrow, they're playing Shohei Ohtani. He's pitching, so that'll probably be a no-hitter. Listen, they're not going anywhere this year. At this point, it's the youth movement. They'll probably move off some of their older guys like Rich Hill or maybe even Austin Hedges, which I probably get a bag of chips for him at this rate. But I don't know what else you're gonna get. Probably Carlos Santana too. But it's at some point too.
You're not gonna get any crazy prospects out of it.
No,
unless you trade him to the Dodgers and get O'Neal Cruz for Tony Watson.
That was a once in a blue moon. At least Tony Watson was a good pitcher. That's a difference.
Yeah.
But
True.
And just to wrap it up, I don't want to take forever. They're going nowhere, and they're in last place now. After 4 months. So great times being a Pirate fan as usual.
I do want to add too. The second game of the series, the last 3 batters, Gonzalez, Andy Rodriguez, and Leoveo Peguero, they went 0 for 9 with 8 strikeouts when you combined all their stuff in that game.
There you go.
Which, I know the bottom of the lineup's not known for hitting, but 8 strikeouts and 9 at bats.
That's really bad.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're a rookie. That's still. That's bad. But even going further, Brian Reynolds looks absolutely lost to the plate. It's incredible. It's one thing to be in a slump because those happen, but he's in a 3 or 4 month slump now. That's just not considering what they paid him early in the season, and he had that one great week, and his April overall was solid. But after that, he's really not done much, and it's just not good enough. And it's no coincidence once he stops hitting, the Pirates pretty much stopped hitting Wells as a whole, and they haven't really played well really since April. They have not had a prolonged stretch of period of time where they played great baseball. So it's just one of those things. It is what it is. Hopefully they'll maybe make some more moves in the offseason. I highly doubt it though, but you would think they would. And maybe 2024 is a little bit better. But just one more thing. I don't want to take forever, but at the rate they're at now, they're pretty much on par with what they were record last year. And last year they lost 100 games. So, if they lose close to 100 games this year, that's not really progress. I mean, it's year 4 of a rebuild. Like I said 71 games at the beginning of the year with the podcast, and I'm going to stick to that. But anything below 70 wins is no bueno. That's just my opinion.
It'll be another season in a row.
Right.
Like, I remember we were talking, they were like 200 and 400 through like a stretch, or something crazy like that in a stretch. Like 19, they didn't win 70 games. 2020, they were 19 and 41.
Yeah.
2021, they lost 100 games. Last year,
lost 100 games.
They lost 100 games. They improved though.
One game
by one game. They
won
went from 61 and 101 to 62.
They'll probably go 65 this year.
But yeah, the Oneil Cruz injury was really deadly because like Brian Reynolds now didn't have any batting support, but he can't even say batting support anymore at this point. The guy he had 5 home runs in the first week of the season, and he's had 4 since April, which for someone you're paying $11 million a year, that's
it's not even like that. He's like not even driving in runs. That's fine. I get the lineup's not great, but at least get on base. He can't even get on base. Like that's a problem.
Yeah, and too like another player too is just like Brian Hayes too has just been there's obviously still potential for both, but like if you look at Jared Triola though, like honestly this might sound crazy, but if you look, or breaking down like the stat WAR, he has a .6 WAR already, and he's only played 17 games. Brian Hayes has a 1.4 WAR on the season.
Right.
So it's like you're getting this. If you look defensively too, he won 2 Gold Gloves in the minor leagues. It's like there's players up here that are like really wanting to get that starting spot there. And like I don't know, Brian Hayes, like I really like the player. He's a best defensive third baseman in the league in my opinion right now. But like the bat, like he hasn't batted over 260 yet in his career. So.
I don't know. Do you have anything that like you follow the Pirates like crazy like that or not really?
Like here and there, like I'll check in. Like I don't watch every game, but
right.
like I'll check this like the score, like updates on my phone and stuff. Yeah, but yeah, like it's just really pitching, and then like they haven't been batting for a while, and maybe like I saw like Reynolds was hurt, Key Bryant was hurt, McCutchen was hurt, obviously O'Neal. So maybe like people being in and out of a lineup is probably why they consistently at the bat. But I mean, it's just a youth movement at this point, so. We just got to see what the prospects are doing now. So,
fair enough.
Yeah, I do like you said. Like I like how Henry, Davis, Nick Gonzalez, and they're all up.
Yeah, that's the one good thing. I will give him that. So.
Yeah, and like plus too, whenever the injuries have been a big deal too, especially in the bullpen. Like Yarlin Garcia has nerve damage. Chase Young not having the same year as last year. Even Will Crow getting hurt.
They DFA'd Will Crow the other day.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, so that Josh Bell trade, that's looking pretty bad right now.
It is.
Considering that the other guy they got is still in single A, and that trade was like 3 years ago. He's not progressed at all. So that's
typical Pirates trade, though.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. And plus, like, if you look at the money Bell's getting right now, like, he's really not getting that much more than, like, Carlos Santana or, like, a Rich Hill. So
I mean, honestly, I don't. This shouldn't really be that controversial, but I'd take Bell right now. Like,
I would too.
I understand he has like his highs and lows, and they're really like extreme. But like his highs are better than Santana's highs, in my opinion. I know Santana's had some solid moments this year, but I mean, Josh Bell's like 8 years younger than him at this point. So, and he has. I know the power's kind of disappeared here the past couple of years compared to what he did like with the Pirates, but like he still has a power. He's a really big dude. He can generate power and he can get on hot streaks. And I just think, yes, he's not good defensively. We know that, but at this point, Carlos Santana isn't much better either. And I think Bell, at least you have some offense with him on a little bit more consistent basis. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, you can always DH him too, but. Anyways, I do want to just move on quick to my quick hitter real fast. Okay. And it just, I think this one's a lighter note other than talking about the Bad News Bears, Pittsburgh Pirates. But it's about the Cincinnati Reds, who just got swept by the Brewers, but that's besides the point. Christian Encarnacion Strand made history by having the longest name in baseball history. And he even hit a pinch hit home run, too. So... I mean, that's goes to show the Reds' prospects are, clearly panning out because they're playing really good this year. But, yeah, that's my quick hitter, Christian Encarnacion Strand. Longest name ever. Hopefully he has a longer career, too. So
just real quick, though, it's funny you mentioned the Reds were a playoff team in 2020. 2021 they were like in the mix till the end. They blew it up in 2022, and here we are a year later. They're already in playoff contention. I'm just saying, like there's just some organizations that know what they're doing.
Good prospects.
Like there's some teams that know what they're doing, and there's just some teams that don't know what they're doing. And I'll leave it at that, though. So
we talked about at the tail end of our podcast too about like just teams that like the Royals, Mariners, Pirates. Like they just like you'll get the occasional Julio, you'll get Andrew McCutchen, but some teams just can't.
No, they can't.
Their systems just kill prospects, but
pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you been like looking at any sports news that caught your eye this week or like last week or anything?
How about what you think about DeAndre Hopkins going to the Titans?
Well, that's a quick hitter there.
That's interesting. So like, you can go first. I feel like I'm talking too much.
Do we both talk a ton?
That's why you go first. Yeah. I feel like I feel like I'm talking way too much though.
For me, like knowing that the division's pretty mediocre.
Yeah.
Like you got the Texans. I think they killed it in the draft getting Stroud and Anderson. But that's besides the point. They're still a really young team, so like I don't. But like we saw the Jaguars jump from nobody like floor to literally in the playoffs. So like who knows? Houston, if Stroud like really pans out, they could be good. But if I had to bet, I think like they'll still be out of the playoffs. Colts, I think they're entering a rebuild soon.
Yeah.
Jaguars, I think, have a pretty solid team. But like for the Titans, like you have a pretty mediocre division. Getting DeAndre Hopkins, like I know he's older now and like he got like suspended last year and stuff, but he can still play. He still showed like shades of like his older self like last year. He ended up putting together some good games at the tail end of the year until the whole Kyler. Like I've just felt like the Cardinals kind of got unlucky last year, but I personally think that this was a good pickup. Will the Titans be a playoff team? Who knows? You still have Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry. You lost Taylor Lewan, but like at the end of the day, I do think that the Titans, like that's a good pickup for them because like they can at least stay within playoff contention with a good number one receiver like Hopkins. But that's just my thought on it.
Yeah, I think honestly this is probably the Titans' like last hurrah as far as being like a viable playoff team, and I barely think they're a viable playoff team this year. But I mean, as far as Hopkins he's like their number one already, and if like Treylon Burks could like maybe take a jump, you have two good receivers right there. Derrick Henry, if he's healthy, you're always going to be in games with him. And I think part of the thing is the issue with the Titans last year is they started out pretty solid. Like I think they were like 6-3, something like that. And Tannehill like got hurt, and it was pretty much like Malik Willis and Josh Dobbs show, and we saw that pretty much blew up in their face. So I mean, if Tannehill can play a full year, limited turnovers, and maybe just play complementary football to Derrick Henry, and trust Hopkins and Burks to make plays, I could see them being a wild card team. I mean, it's not far fetched. I mean, their defense is still good.
The defense is very underrated too.
No, it is, and like you said, the division isn't great. I mean, I know the Jaguars won it last year, and they're the betting favorites to win it again. But that was just 1 year. The NFL changes from year to year, and it's no guarantee that Jacksonville,
the Rams, for example.
Yeah, it's no guarantee that Jacksonville like wins 14 games like everyone's predicting, and like makes our dark horse Super Bowl team. Like they could like be mediocre again this year. So we'll just see how it plays out. I even think the Texans can be competitive this year. The Colts maybe not so much, just because I think they're already rebuilding, in my opinion. You drafted like a quarterback, and top 5 pick, and I do think they're rebuilding actually right now. But we'll see how that pans out with Richardson. But yeah, I mean overall the Titans, I don't think they're dead yet. But I mean I think after this year they're gonna move on from Tannehill, and then I guess they'll figure out the Will Levis, Malik Willis thing. I think that's very strange. I've said that 1,000 times. I wasn't a fan of them drafting Will Levis. Malik Willis, everyone knew he was going to have to sit at least a year or two. And they just drafted another quarterback. That didn't make any sense to me. But we'll see how that thing pans out. That's a more long-term thing, though. But as far as this year goes, I think the Titans can make the playoffs. I do.
Yeah. I agree with that too.
How do you feel about the whole situation from Hopkins and then, Malik Willis, and then them drafting Will Levis, aka former Penn State guy going to Kentucky? So
honestly, I thought I thought D-Hop was going to go more to like a contender team. Like I thought he was good. A lot of talks with the Patriots and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I
Patriots,
even saw with the Chiefs. I thought he was going to take like a 1-year deal with the Chiefs and stuff like that. But I know like the Titans gave him a decent amount of money, so maybe that factored in it as much. And then like what you said with Malik Willis. Like I like Malik Willis. Like I thought he did a lot of good stuff in college, but obviously he's still like a project and stuff like that.
Right.
So he's a couple years away. And then I was surprised that Will Levis went there. Honestly, I thought Will Levis was going to go to Colts or like earlier.
Right.
The way they were hyping him up and stuff like that. But yeah, it really doesn't make sense if you think Malik Willis is going to be the guy.
Right.
And then draft Will Levis. And then I saw talks that saying that Malik Willis was doing well in like minicamp and stuff like that. So it's a weird situation for them, but one of them, they're going to move on with one of them. So,
well, it was one of those things with the draft. Like they was like either Will Levis or Anthony Richardson. They were going to draft really high,
right?
And the other was probably going to slide.
Yeah.
And I guess it would have just came down to who has more physical upside. Because like honestly, Will Levis had the better college career than Richardson.
Right.
Let's be real about it. But I think Richardson has a higher ceiling.
Yeah.
And whether he reaches that ceiling, I don't know if he ever will. But based off intangibles, like his skill set reminds me a lot of Cam Newton, except I think he's a better thrower. And I think he has a better arm than Cam Newton. But, like, that's, like, we're talking, like, MVP caliber. Right. Cam Newton won an MVP, so I don't know if he'll ever reach that level. But, I mean, compared to Will Levis, I'd probably take Richardson, honestly. But that's just my opinion.
I agree.
The only thing with Cam Newton, though, I will say is he was just so much more polished coming out of college.
No, he won a national championship in Heisman. I can't argue that.
Yeah, but I will say, like, if you look at Anthony Richardson, just how he plays and just, like, his arm and how crazy it is and just, like, I mean, the dude he could probably play whatever sport he wants, really. Even basketball, too.
Easily.
Like, he got the size for that. And I just think, like, you really can't go wrong getting an athlete like him. Like, high risk, high reward.
Right.
Like, if this guy pans out, like, he's going to be a stud.
He'll be a superstar for sure.
And I think, like, I will say one thing about Will Levis. And I think that they just thought, like, oh, this quarterback dropped. And they just didn't have full faith in Malik Willis, so they just, like, pulled the trigger. Like, for me, it's kind of confusing, but at the same time, the only way I could look at it is, like, hey, like, this Will Levis guy, he was thought about getting taken at 6th. And I will say, like, Will Levis in college, Kentucky, I mean, they've had some solid seasons as him starting at quarterback. So, I mean, at least he was able to play in the SEC and ended up having a good college career. So, I mean, Malik Willis, though, too, turned Liberty around. Liberty's still new in FBS. And, I don't know, I guess the only thing is, if you think about it, like, when he did play, like, a Division I school against Ole Miss, he didn't look great. So, you could kind of, like, tell that, like, he still needs, like, a little bit more polishing. But, like, the guy has speed. He can move. I loved Malik Willis in college, but it's just one of those things where it's kind of a confusing move, but I can kind of see it, kind of not. Right. It's weird.
Well, I'll throw this question on here. Let's say the Titans have a terrible season. They win like 3 or 4 games this year, and they're top 3 pick, and Caleb Williams or Drake May is there. Do you think they draft another quarterback? I'm being serious.
They could.
Because like Drake May and Caleb Williams, they're considered one of the 2 better quarterback prospects we've had in a few years, and like. As far as talent goes, I think both those guys can be better than Levis and
I think
Richardson.
they will be better than both.
Okay, well, so like if you're
I thought like Levis and Willis.
Do you think they would take another quarterback?
Why not? I guess I don't know.
See if you
that's
why
I'm not saying it's smart. Yeah,
but I mean, that's not far fetched that they would do that.
I mean, that would be kind of crazy, but like. Honestly, like with the AFC, how tough it is with all the QBs,
I get it.
Everyone's trying to find their Josh Allen, Mahomes, Joe Burrow type quarterback, franchise quarterback. So I mean, that's probably the risk they might have to take. I mean, if Caleb Williams is there, you might have to go Caleb Williams.
I just don't like how like quarterbacks get recycled so much. Like they have like a 2-year. If you're not good in 2 years, we're getting rid of you. Like, that's just like, I just don't like that. Sometimes I think it's good if you just. Wait a couple years. Like sometimes guys just take a long time to blossom. That was just my point.
I agree.
I will say this though. Like if you think about it though, hear me out. So Malik Willis, like people are talking about the Steelers taking him in the 1st round.
I remember all that.
And they got him in the third round.
Right.
So it's like they kind of got a steal per se.
Yeah, I guess.
In the 3rd. Right. So like it wasn't really like they didn't draft a quarterback in the 1st round. Right. So I think it's a little bit different.
I get it, but like the intention was there. Like Willis was like seen as a 1st round talent, and then like obviously he fell. But like I just think if you draft someone in the third round, usually you're not going to start them day one, like unless you're a first round pick. That's usually how it goes. And like the fact they knew what they were doing when they took him, they could have taken someone else. Hell, they could have even drafted Pickett probably if they had the chance. And they took him because they know he had the highest boom bust potential, and you had to sit him for 2 years. You knew that coming in. And like to me, like, and you throw him out there his first year, you knew he wasn't ready, and you saw what happened. He did not look good at all, and yet they still. I just don't like that. It's just you could have thrown Josh Dobbs out there for the rest of the year instead of Willis. Like first year rookie, he's not ready. It's pretty evident. But I'm sorry.
You still have Ryan Tannehill too.
Well, but he was hurt last year. That's why. Like that's,
yeah.
And then they went through the carousel. Everyone got benched, and that's just not. You can't win like that.
They started Dobbs in that big game against
Jacksonville. Yeah,
saw that turn.
They almost won too. That was kind of cool. Were they up like? Weren't they winning like by 14 or something like that?
I think they were winning. Yeah,
they blew that game.
Yeah,
actually.
they did. That was for the division, right?
It was the division title. Yeah. So
that was great. I remember that game, and then I also remember the Jacksonville versus Chargers game.
That was crazy.
What was the score? It was like
30, like 27. There was 31 to 28. It was one of those 30 to 20 something scores.
Yeah, it was rough end of the season. It's for the Chargers.
Well, that's one other issue.
Two straight years where it was just a rough ending.
I'm trying to think. How did they? Was it the year before the Raiders game?
The field goal.
Yeah, right. That game was almost. That game was almost
That's how
tied.
we got in the playoffs.
Steelers, yeah.
Because they thought like they was gonna end in the tide and mess the Steelers up.
You know, it's funny. I know we're supposed to interview them and stuff, but like I want to say one quick story. I remember the Raiders were beating the Chargers that night, and I think I had to go to school the next day. Or college, whatever, and I was like, "Oh, the Raiders got this in the bag." So I went to bed, and I remember waking up. I was scrolling through Twitter. People were losing their minds. Like, "Oh, this game almost ended in a tie." I was like, "Are you serious?" I didn't even know that. It was just like one of those wild things, like the way the game unfolded. And I like for my sake, like being a guy that watches football, I'm glad I didn't watch that. Probably would have broken my TV at some point, just because I hate those kind of games, especially when playoff seedings on the line. You know, for the Steelers, that was their way into the playoffs. And honestly, looking back, I probably wish it would have tied, considering how the game unfolded against the Chiefs. But that's another story. But I just wanted to
they gave us hope. Remember, like T.J. Watt got like a pick or something. I was like, oh, snap.
That was gonna be their only score of the game, bro. They were not beating the Mahomes 7-0.
They wasn't.
They were gonna score at and then the floodgates opened. It was a wrap.
Yeah, I couldn't I couldn't believe that because I remember my dad and I watching. And like people,
the Chiefs Steelers game.
No, the game before.
Oh, okay,
yeah. Even that game too, though. Like it just, I just remember the Raiders game though. I'm sorry, I was bringing it back, but just like watching that game, we were like, oh, maybe the NFL is rigged. Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, seriously.
Yeah, at that point.
I think it was that year in particular. There was a lot of games, the way they were like unfolding, it was like a little bit absurd. Like I think it was that 2021 season. There was like a lot of overtime games, and the way the games were being played, it was just so. It was like something you would see in Madden. Like they wasn't even real life. So that's the NFL for you, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, the Chiefs took it to the Steelers, though.
Well, that was my whole thing about that game was the Steelers. They shut them out the first quarter. That was probably as dominant of a defensive effort as you can have against the best quarterback in football. And then like the second quarter, T.J. Watt gets that touchdown, and I was thinking to myself, yeah, this is probably the last time they're going to lead in the game, and now that because like their offense couldn't do anything. If they would have scored probably a touchdown or two, the offense, that game, they probably still wouldn't have won it, but it probably would have been a more competitive game. And like your offense wasn't giving you anything, so your defense, if you're on the field the entire time, you're going to get worn out. And that's what happened. Like I think they scored like 3 touchdowns that second quarter or 2, and after that it was over. So it's
I will
it was
say
one of those
this
things.
though, like that team, like I'm just gonna say it, that team should have been a playoff team, and like I'll tell you why. Like obviously, if you make the playoffs, you deserve it. That defense deserved to make the playoffs. But the reason I say that is because their largest margin of victory was against the Cleveland Browns, and it was 26-14. That was their largest margin of victory, and one of their wins they had the Steelers. And then, like, all their other games they won were with 8 points or within.
Right, yeah.
So, like, that means, like, when they lost, they got beat pretty good. Or when they won, they were just pulling these games out. So.
I mean, the crazy thing about that year, too, is there was, like, I can point to 3 or 4 games they probably should have won. and that most of the people thought like they weren't really that good of a team. But I mean, I can think of the Chargers game. That was a night game.
The Vikings game.
The Vikings game. I'm missing a game. There's a game they should have won. If they didn't tie the Lions, if Ben started, they probably win.
They win that game.
Oh, yeah, they did tie against the
freaking Mason Rudolph started.
The worst game I ever watched.
Yeah. That was a really bad game. So that's three. Let's say 2 out of 3. They win 2 out of 3 of those games. You're looking at like 11-6 or 11-5, whatever it was. So I mean, that's I don't know. It's just one of those things, man. Even last year, there was like 3 or 4 games they probably should have won.
Dolphins,
the Jets,
the Patriots. Yeah. I mean, those were all. And that's why I'm like going into this year. That's why I'm buying a lot of stock in the Steelers, because I think their schedule really sets up nicely where they can win in theory every game this year. Now they're not going to go undefeated, obviously, but they're more than capable of being every team on that schedule. I guess it's my point overall. Like, I don't see one team on that calendar like, oh my gosh, they can't beat them at all. I don't see that this year. I think they can beat the Jaguars, 49ers. Yeah, they can beat all those teams this year. I do. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm drinking too much Kool-Aid, but that's how I feel.
How are you feeling about it, Kavon?
I think I like a lot of the moves the Steelers made in the offseason, especially in the draft. Grabbing Joey Porter, getting Darnell Washington, And, I think the sky's the limit for them. I think it really evolves, what Matt Canada and going to do. Is he going to allow Kenny Pickett to, are they going to open up the offense, let him throw downfield more and stuff like that? So it's really about the development of Kenny Pickett and what Matt Canada's going to do. Because if that offense is going, they're going to be really good, because their defense is going to be really good this year.
Yeah, and if you, go back to even Kenny Pickett at Pitt, you said opening it up. He had 3 offensive coordinators in college. And his last one, Mark Whipple, allowed him to just go hog wild. And what ended up happening was him and Jordan Addison had, probably the best quarterback to wide receiver duo since Dan Marino was a quarterback at Pitt. So Matt Canada kind of has to give him that freedom. I feel like he's trying to go too much with a ground and pound in a league that's turning into more of a passing first league. But hey, they drafted Broderick Jones out of Georgia and Darnell Washington, a good blocking tight end. He's literally 6'7". So, obviously they can now have that balanced offense, but at the same time, they have the personnel in wide receivers who are dynamic, like George Pickens, and someone who got a lot of speed and is good for good short crossing routes with what's his face, Deontay Johnson. Mm-hmm. So I feel like they have the personnel, and you also have Miles Austin coming back too as well. So Kelvin Austin.
What's the same?
Yeah, but Kelvin Austin. But anyways, ignore that blunder. But they got 3 good wide receivers, I think, and a lot of speed too. So I think they have the personnel, and like Kavon said, I think they need to open it up and let Kenny Pickett kind of have more freedom in the offense.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to bog too much on the Steelers, but I think my one concern, obviously, it's the running the football thing. I really hope they don't be a run first team. They need to kind of alternate. They need to pass too, because like you said, it's a passing league. Every great quarterback. All the teams that have great teams, they have great passing quarterbacks. And if you want to be on that level, if you want to be on that tier or close to it, you have to be able to throw the football down the field and make plays. I think Pickett's more than capable of that. I've never doubted that. But you have the receivers. You have good receivers. Your O-line should be better this year. Obviously, you're deep at running back. You have Warren, who's a more than capable of backup, honestly. He's a really good backup. And, your defense, I think, should be good. Now, the key is always health, and usually someone always gets hurt because that's just the nature of the beast. So I think, like you said, they're better equipped this year because they have depth. They have guys they can interchange on the O-line, of course. Their defense, it's a little bit more bolstered, so maybe if one of those guys goes down for a couple weeks, it's not all doom and gloom. But really, honestly, at the end of the day, as long as T.J. Watt plays every game, you're going to be in every game. Because he's really the engine that drives the defense, of course, no doubt. You have Cam Hayward, of course, Minka in the backfield, making plays, picks, all that jazz. So listen, we saw you can see the splits with T.J. Watt without T.J. Watt. The Steelers, they're like a 600, 650 winning percentage with him on the field. When he's not playing, they're pretty much screwed. So if he can stay healthy this year, I think they're going to be a playoff team.
Yeah, and I think this is a good transition point because, we kind of talked about how it's, no longer as big of a running league. And the reason being is the gaps close so fast in the NFL now, and like there's so many athletic and quick defensive linemen. Just like Aaron Donald, for example.
Yeah.
Like it's just like it's crazy. And speaking of that, I think it's a good transition point. So Kavon played high school football at Montour High School, where we both went. I've known him since kindergarten, and he went from Montour and ended up going to Cal U in Pennsylvania, and we said it's PennWest Cal now. But I do want to ask, just seeing like the differences between high school and college football, right. How was it like adjusting, like when you first started playing in college football?
So definitely, the game is definitely a little bit faster from the transition to high school to college. But I feel like the most different point is like the mental part of the game. You really have to like dial in on your scheme and to keep reading the keys, or like where he's aligned and where's he at, if he motions, where you have to do. I think it's like really a mental game, because if you don't know what you're doing on the field, it's going to allow you to play slow. And once you play slow, you're really cooked. So, like, me coming in, it kind of took me a little bit to get the defense to know what I was doing, just because, you know, it's like it was kind of complex what we were learning, because we kind of ran, like, the Steelers defense back in the day with Dick LeBeau. So we had a lot of, like, communication pre-snap-wise and stuff like that. So once I got that down in line, I was playing fast and doing what I wanted to do, so.
Wait, so what position do you play?
Safety.
Okay, it's a two-pronged question. So, what do you enjoy most about playing safety, and then what's some of the challenges that come with playing safety?
Okay. So, what I like the most about playing safety is just being so I played free, so just being in the back, just kind of roaming, you know, being that safety, like what it is, center field guy. So I can read the quarterback's eyes, see what he's about to do. So I can really play free and do whatever I want. Obviously, I have keys where I have to read, and obviously some coverages where I need to be. But if I'm in the middle of the field, allowed to roam, I can just do whatever I want. So it allows me to play fast. And what was the other question again?
What's the most difficult thing about playing safety or free safety?
For me, for my defense was I did a lot of communication, so I had to make a lot of checks and stuff like that to communicate with other DBs. So if I didn't know what I was doing, then other DBs didn't know what I was doing, and then if we have no communication, then we're cooked. We're gonna give up a touchdown. So that was the big thing for me, is just knowing the play calls and knowing the communication stuff like that.
Did you have a moment? So when you first started to start every day in 2021, was there a moment out there where there may have been a defensive collapse? I was like, oh wow, this is pretty tough sometimes.
Oh yeah, bunch of times. I think one time. We played IUP and
rivalry game there.
Yeah.
What's it called? Cold Bowl?
The Cold Bowl,
yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think so it gets really loud and stuff like that, and I didn't know. So the linebacker was making the call, and I didn't hear the call. So I'm telling him what's the call? What's the call? What's the call? And he didn't give it to me. So I didn't know what I was doing. So I kind of just roamed back in the middle of the field, and we were in cover too. So the corner was playing underneath, and he thought I was gonna be over top, but I didn't get over top. And they threw the fade ball. I mean, luckily he dropped it for a touchdown. It was wide open. But, I mean, yeah, we caught a break there. But, and I was telling the corner, I didn't hear the call. I didn't know I was supposed to be over top. So, really, that just shows you, you really have to be on your keys, read the defense, and really communicate. Because if you don't communicate out there, it's going to hurt you.
Yeah, I do want to ask too. I kind of said 2021. You had 3 interceptions that year, and overall had a really good season. But the year before was the COVID year.
Right.
When you guys weren't playing, how much work did you put in through that time? And what was your mindset like?
I was working out every day, man. You know, coming in as a freshman in 2018 and sophomore year, freshman year I had a really good year. You know, I didn't start right away, but the last 3 games I started, and then. Going into my sophomore year in camp, I kind of struggled a little bit. And I came in starting, and then I didn't start at all. So that kind of fueled me a little bit. You know, I had a down year. So, and then once COVID happened, I was okay, I really need to go on the field and be on my P's and Q's and stuff like that. So, every day I was just in my basement working out, you know, just trying to find any way I can do. And
was there someone out there?
Yeah, someone out there.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, man, I was just working out every day during quarantine and running hills, just getting outside, just trying to do everything I can to get better. And honestly, I think that was I felt the best shape of my life during quarantine. So I think that what I did during quarantine really transitioned to me for the rest of my college career, and happy the hard work paid off. So.
Yeah, and also too, just that team itself. When you guys first came back, we're 9-1. Just tell me like a little bit about the team and how cool it was to play for that team.
Man, we just had a lot of great talent on our team, a lot of good coaches on the coaching staff, and I think like just not playing for a year really fueled us together and wanted like to be together as a team. You know, it was just kind of crazy. Like we were just so locked in and so like committed to each other, like being all in. It just really helped us. Like we all loved each other. We all played for each other, and it really just was a catalyst of why we did so good. So I just think that being a team and being together is really what fueled us and allowed us to have success on the field.
So like why, like not why, but like how were you able to like balance schoolwork and then with like being an athlete? Because being an athlete, that's not like you show up and you play and you're done for the week. Like that's an everyday process. Can you just walk me through that, like how you're able to navigate that even through COVID?
I got you. So like so coming in as a freshman, you always say at study hall. So we had to do I think 6 hours a week. So like. Boom, we have school in the morning. We practice at 3:30, and then after practice, we go to study hall and get work done, study, make sure your grades are up. And we have grade checks as well. So, like, we have our advisor come around and check our grades and stuff like that. But, like, once you're, like, done with a freshman, you maintain over a 3.0, you get out of study hall. So now you're really on your own trying to find your way to be successful in school. So, for me, I just made sure, like, after practice and stuff like that, check what I got to do my work, when it's due, make sure I do it before I even do anything if I want to play the game or hang out with friends. So really you just got to keep that self-discipline in your mind because it's really easy to get out of track. And I seen a lot of people that went to my school that played football that had a lot of talent, even talented than me that fell off just because they didn't have their grades right. So it's really important to balance that life.
Yeah, and I will say this. Going to high school, Kavon, he's always been like an academic first guy. And I do want to ask, too, just like about your parents, too, because I know your parents pretty well, just growing up with you. I just want to ask, like, how much do they mean to you, including your brother, too? Yeah. Just how much have they been an influence in your life?
My family means a lot to me, They always support me whatever I do. Ever since I was little, whenever it was football, basketball, or even baseball, they're always there for me, coming to support, like my dad was my youth coach all growing up and stuff. So like he's always on my ass, stuff like that, make sure I'm getting better. So like, and even like school wise, they always like instill me to get A's and B's, majority A's. Like even if like I had a C on my report card, like it's like, why do you have a C? Like what are you doing? Like why are you on that game too much? You need to be studying and stuff like that. So like really, I think that's what instilled me to have good grades and stuff like that. And just having a support system really means a lot to me because, like, sometimes there'd be days where, like, I feel down. I feel like not working out or, you know how it goes. Just balancing, like, life. And everyone has struggles. So I think that's what keeps me going and keeps me motivated.
Yeah. I do want to ask, too. So you played for Robinson for baseball.
Yeah.
I played for Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
I remember playing you a couple of times. But since you were a summer birthday, you were considered, like, 1 year younger and stuff. But, like, do you have any, like, favorite, like, Little League moments and stuff? I know this is a long time ago.
I think it was like a tournament at Cecil. I hit 2 home runs. It was like it might have been a championship game, maybe the game before or whatever. But I think I ended up winning like the MVP of that tournament. So which was pretty cool to me,
Yeah, and I do want to ask too. So was like football always like the number one for you, or did you always?
Yeah, I think football was the number one for me ever since like I was little. I used to always go to my brother's games and stuff like that, and my dad was coaching them as well. So like I was always on the sidelines just watching and observing. I remember one time it was like freezing cold and just raining, muddy, and all stuff like that, and like I was just on the sidelines sitting there just because like I didn't care about being cold or wet or anything. Like I really like love football. I wanted to watch. Like even like my mom asked me like, "Do you want to go home?" Stuff like that. I was like, "No, like I'm staying here. I want to watch football." So I think like I always had love for the game, and it all started from a young age.
So was safety always your position like through like middle school and high school, or you play other positions?
So
as
I
well?
actually played like
quarterback.
Yeah,
and
from
you played DB too.
Yeah, from youth all to high school, I played quarterback and corner.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I didn't start playing safety until I was in college.
So are you an offense guy? Or are you more of a defensive guy? Like as far as what you have to play?
Now I'm more a defensive guy.
Okay.
Because I don't I like to bring the hit. I don't want to get hit.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
But like high school wise, no, it was fun playing quarterback. You know, you had the ball in your hand every play, and you make plays happen, and like you're a leader on that team. So like, I feel like I'm a leader. So I really enjoyed playing football or quarterback in high school. So it was fun to me. So.
Well, so they had you play cornerback too as well.
Yeah. Yes, I played both sides.
Oh, that's crazy.
So yeah, I was.
That's crazy.
I played a lot of snaps, man. I definitely, I'd be waking up sore as ever, like.
Yeah, right.
I do want to ask too, like Whippeal, it's known for like developing talent. Most recently, probably Sky Moore, played for Valley High School and Shadyside Academy, but that's besides the point. You played in the Whippeal championship game and the pouring down rain against Thomas Jefferson.
Right.
And like, just take me back to that game. I know like it didn't go as planned, I guess you can say, but like, you just tell me like a little bit about playing in Heinz Field.
Man, I just think it definitely was a cool experience playing in Heinz Field. You know, like once we walked in, I kind of felt like you was like a professional athlete. We walked in. I think we stayed in the visitor locker room, but it was, you know, big locker room. You walk out, it's like a tunnel and stuff. You really feel like you in the pros, and then like coming out in the field, I remember I was just like looking around. It's like, dag, like I see so many seats like around, like it's just kind of crazy. And I remember like I would like, you know, the Jumbotron they have and stuff like that, and they show like the replay, like the live action. I remember like I would like turn up and look to see if like if it was like catching me on the same feed. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It was like, so it was kind of cool just playing there. Obviously didn't get the result we wanted, but it's a cool experience to play in Heinz Field for sure.
Now, like I don't know, like if you've been able to do this, but have you ever, like, whether it's been through high school or college, have you been able to network with other guys that have maybe played, like, in the XFL, NFL, USFL? Like, have you been able to be afforded those opportunities or not so much?
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's some guys that, like, I work out at right now that are NFL guys or played in XFL, USFL. I know I play with a safety. His name is Lamont McFadder. He's in the USFL right now, so I built a network with him, you know, just playing with him for 2 years. Really good guy, really good dude. You know, he's a leader. He's a hard worker. He's All-American at the D2 level. So, and he played at Ball State as well. So, and he's a hard worker. So his hard work paid off for sure. So, but yeah, just playing, growing up playing football. There's a lot of people that I came in contact with too that played like D1 ball and stuff like that, and even had a chance to make a professional level. Like I played Sky Moore in youth football when he played for Arkansas. So like it's kind of crazy to see him in the league now, which is pretty
Super
cool.
Bowl champion too,
for sure.
Now, would you say, I was going to ask you that too, would you say he's the best player you've played against, like in all your years of playing football?
I think the best player I played against, this was like from a youth level, so like I probably wouldn't say him just because like I didn't play him like him.
Right.
But I would say the best person I probably played was probably Geno Stone.
From Newcastle.
From Newcastle, yeah. He was, my junior year, he had like 3 picks against us. I think he had like 2 touchdowns. He really put it on us. So, yeah, I'll probably say Geno Stone was probably the best person I played against.
I will say this, too. I actually wrote his name down, too, because I was going to ask you if he was your best. Because I don't know if you had, like, snaps in this game, but freshman year of high school, I remember you guys playing Newcastle, and Geno Stone was on that team. Mm-hmm. Do you remember watching him play in high school in that game?
Freshman year? Yeah, I do. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, so was it like similar to that experience you had playing like youth football, like watching him play? Like, did you know that this kid was like, this guy's gonna be an NFL guy?
Yeah. At the time, like I knew he was a really good player, and like obviously I knew he was kind of like wasn't as tall as everyone's like as you want as a safety, but like I knew like he could play, like he was a dog, like just from the way he played and stuff like that. So I knew he was gonna be good whenever he did, and I remember like even like. I wouldn't say like I would say Jordan Whitehead, but I never really played against him. Like, but as a freshman, like on the sidelines, I watched him play against us, and I was like, "Dag, like he's really good."
Now he's a starting safety, and like Jets have arguably the best defense in the league.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I do want to go back to you though. Like you talked like a little bit about like your XFL camp and stuff like that, and even before that, you had your pro day too. Just tell me like a little bit about your pro day and like combine training.
Yeah. So I did my combine training at 424 Athlete Factory. My trainer, Colby Smith, did that for about a couple months there, and then got to my pro day. My pro day didn't go as planned as I wanted to. You know, maybe like I feel like the weather and stuff like that kind of factored into it. It was cold out. It was outside, but I made the most of it. I wasn't really too happy about my 40 time and stuff like that, but my my 3-cone and 20-yard shuttle was pretty satisfied, and I thought I did good about. But and my position drills were solid. So, I mean, I thought I did everything I can. So I think it's in God's hands now, and I just know if I get an opportunity, I'm gonna make the most of it. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of God and stuff like that, how much has your faith played a role in your sports and stuff?
It's played a very high factor for me. Yeah, it's been high now for sure. Growing up, I mean, I went to church here and there like that. Never been not always been in church like that all the time, but I always had faith in God, and you know what I'm saying. And I really believe that, and I think God has a plan for me, and whatever I do, I just know I'm gonna be successful just because of the person I am. So and everything, I just it's in God's hands. So I just give my praise to God, and I know He's gonna lead me in the right direction.
Yeah. Was there a moment where you I feel like there was one for me too. I always wanted to have control over a situation and didn't care. But I always wanted an answer for something. But then all of a sudden, I felt whenever, if you read 2 Peter 5:7, it's cast your cares on Him, for He cares about you and stuff like that. And I just always remember that verse, and just tell me a little bit about was there a moment where you just say, here, God, you can have it all. Whatever you want to do with my life, just let it be. Was there a moment that you had? I just think
for the past couple months now, it's just just trying to find what my next step's gonna be and stuff like that. And I really came to realize I'm just gonna put it in God's hands. I'm not gonna stress what the future's about to be, because I know He has a plan for me. So if I keep stressing about it, I'm just gonna, just you know how to be. So I really just accept the fact I put it in God's hand, and we'll see what happens. And if I get the opportunity, I'm gonna make the most of it. So I think really after my pro day and my combine prep, and after I did all these I did a CFL workout in April, especially after the workout I did a couple weeks ago, and I'm really starting to just put it in God's hand, here, God lead me whatever direction you want to take me. So
yeah. And now I do want to talk a little about the XFL. So you went down to DC for that.
Yeah.
Just how I know we touched upon it a little bit, but how was it going down there and seeing other players as well?
Yeah, there definitely was some players that I thought that could play at that level, and it was down at the University of Maryland, so it was kind of cool it was an indoor facility, so it was kind of cool to experience that part and see their facility and stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely feel there was a couple of players that can really make an impact on that level, and yeah, there were some good players, and it was a good experience to meet other players as well that are trying to on the same goal as I am. So,
yeah. Did you meet The Rock at all? Or
I didn't. He was not down there.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
Did you get to touch the turtle down at Maryland? You know how they have the little terrapin
I didn't even see it.
No,
I didn't see it.
Yeah. No, but College Park, Maryland, though, how was it down there? You think it was pretty cool and stuff?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I liked it a lot for sure.
Mm-hmm. What's it called? Diggs went there. What's his name?
Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, so were you in DC or Maryland? I just want to get that clarified.
It was it was for the DC XFL team.
Oh,
so
it
was it was their showcase,
right.
but
okay.
but the
it was in Maryland.
Yeah,
okay, Maryland. That makes sense.
Yeah. And my next question for you too is just you're also going for your master's right now. Can you just tell us a little bit about what you're going for, and then what your goals are for? Yeah.
So I got my bachelor degree in sports management in last May, and now I'm my master program for athletic administration. So I'm trying to be an athletic director. So when I get done with my master's, I'm just gonna try to make the next step to trying to define that goal and achieve it. So
yeah. And just overall too, just to wrap up kind of our interview portion, unless Justin has a couple more, what's been your best moment in just sports overall? Do you have just one moment that really sticks out to you?
I'm gonna say that's a good question, man. I'm gonna say my recent memory, I would probably say, is my junior year when we beat IUP in the Cold Ball. It was just kind of a crazy moment, just because I think we were down 10 with a minute 50 left or something, and then we ended up scoring. Kicked the onside kick, we didn't get it at all, and then luckily enough, we would have stopped them 3 times, call our timeouts, then went to punt, and we block the punt, and with like 30 seconds left. And then we go down to score with like 14 seconds left. Defense gets back on. We get a pick, and we rush the field and stuff, start celebrating and stuff. So that was a pretty cool moment, especially being in the cold ball and IUP being our rival. So I think that's a sports moment that really stuck on me.
Yeah, no, like you said, like those rivalry games too. Like I just feel like rivalry games as a whole, it doesn't matter, like what your personnel is that year. Like it's gonna be a close game.
It's always everyone's gonna be up for that game, so you really gotta lock in.
Yeah, no. And
I should have been more prepared, but I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't have any more questions.
Yeah, no, and I was telling Kavon too, if we had some time, would you guys want to talk like a little bit about like the NBA offseason?
Yeah, I can talk till 12:50, then I have to go.
Oh yeah, that's
still
fine.
Like 20 minutes, we can talk.
Yeah, sounds good. So I do. Last podcast we were saying like we didn't touch up upon NBA,
right?
And Kavon, like, do you see like a team in the NBA that like just had a killer offseason and it's like, this team's gonna be good next year?
I'm a big Braun guy, so I think
no.
I'm gonna say I think the Lakers had a really good offseason, man. I like what they did. Re-signed Reeves, re-signed Rui, re-signed D'Lo. I liked re-signing D'Lo. I mean, obviously he didn't play well in the Western Conference Finals, but I mean he's still a good player at the end of the day. You're still gonna need him during the regular season, and even if he doesn't play out during the regular season, he's still used for a trade bait as well. And in additions of Gabe Vincent, 3-and-D guy.
Good shooter.
Yeah, good shooter for sure. Played in playoff moments. Who else they got? Taurean Prince, good 3-and-D guy. Veteran player, rotation guy. He's going to be good. And I like
Cam Reddish too.
Yeah,
right?
I like Cam Reddish's potential, what he can do. We can bring him to the floor. And then Jackson Hayes is a 7-footer, a young athletic guy. So I think that they need one more piece, one more center, and I think the sky's the limit for them. They can. As long as they stay healthy, they go be a threat in the West for sure.
Yeah,
I really can't argue that. I mean, but like you said, what's gonna be key is the health, bro. If at this point, LeBron, I don't think he can give you 80 games.
Nah,
so I think at this
agree.
point, 60 or 65 is probably the optimal. And then Anthony Davis, really, that's the guy should be playing 70 games every year. I don't understand. He just can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
But last year though, he was really dominant.
He played most of the season last year too, other than that 1 month.
How many games did he play last year?
I think 50 to 60.
I'd probably like him to play at least 65. That'd be nice. But I mean, compared to other years, yeah, you can say he was relatively healthy. But I mean, if he can let's say play 65, 70 games, and did what he did last year on a more consistent basis, I mean, yeah, they're gonna be tough to beat. I mean, I still think Denver is the team to beat because they're the best player in the NBA right now.
Sure.
And Jamal Murray really took up another level in the playoffs like he did back in the bubble. But I mean, yeah, it's really, I think it's them and the Lakers right now as far as the two best teams in the West. And if you still want to argue Phoenix,
getting Bradley Beal,
they're gonna be they're not gonna be good defensively. That's
no depth, and they don't have no point guard that can really like Bradley Beal's not a point. Like Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, they're not point guards. They're not going to facilitate. They're not going to facilitate the offense.
Yeah,
especially in the playoffs, you need a point guard that can run the offense. So it's gonna be interesting for sure.
Yeah, I mean they have 4 really good starters. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, where's that guy to run the offense? You just have a bunch of scorers, and then you have DeAndre Ayton, who at this point he's a 20-10 guy at his best, but sometimes I don't know if you get his best.
Right.
You just don't know with him. So I'm going to say that Phoenix, they're going to be a playoff team, but I don't think they're legit contenders because Kevin Durant can't play a full year either. That's part of it. And ever since that Achilles injury in Golden State, he just hasn't put anywhere close to a full season.
Right.
And when he does play, he's still really good. He's actually great, honestly, still. But I mean, Devin Booker, you still have him. Bradley Beal has kind of had a bit of an injury bug here the last couple of years as well.
Right.
So I mean, we'll see. I mean, they're going to be a good team regardless. And who knows? Maybe with Frank Vogel. Frank Vogel's a defensive coach first. Worked for the Lakers for a couple of years.
For the
Pacers.
Yeah.
They were Eastern
Roy Hibbert and Lance Stevenson.
Roy
yeah.
I mean, so
so
defensively they might be improved, but I still think there's still going to be challenges on defense and health. That's always key. And then the Warriors, I don't think they're contenders at all.
I don't. They have no size.
No, and then like you trade Jordan Poole for Chris Paul. That's not a good trade. I don't care how you break. It's not a good trade. It's not.
And they didn't like Kavon said. They don't have size. Last year that was their problem, and they didn't address it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they need like Kevon Looney. Like he wasn't really a center in college. He had to learn the NBA, and he's your starter.
Yeah,
like Kevon Looney.
He's a really
good, gritty player.
He's a really good rebounder. Like he is, but I mean, you have Klay Thompson who's declining. Draymond Green's declining as a player as well, and then like you get rid of one of your young assets who can get better. I know he didn't really progress last year, but he pretty much put up a similar stat line than he did the year before.
Put up over 20 points. You know?
So I mean, you got rid of 20 points a game for someone that might not even play half a year. So it's just I like Chris Paul. He's a Hall of Famer, but like 4 years too late, man. It's like 4 years too late, and that's a weird fit too. Is Chris Paul actually gonna start, or is he gonna come off the bench?
I don't see him starting 3 guard. I don't see him starting.
Paul
Curry.
It has to go incredibly small.
That's too small.
Like Andrew Wiggins is gonna have to be a 4.
Yeah. And we go
Wait, Draymond's gonna be a center? Like, come on.
I don't know what their plans are.
They're gonna have to. They're another team. They're gonna have to outshoot everyone every night to win.
Because like if you start Chris Paul, you'd have to do Paul, Curry, Thompson, Wiggins, and then Green or Looney.
I mean,
it's like
at that point, I think Wiggins is your best defender. I don't think Draymond Green's not the same defender as he once was. So Wiggins is a good defensive player, but I mean, defensively they might be a little challenged too. We'll see.
Yeah, I didn't get it either.
And then I'm trying to think who else. Like, I mean, the Thunder I think can make a jump just because they have a lot of young talent.
For sure.
And then they have Chet coming back this year. I'm trying to think who else. I don't really count the Pelicans because Zion, he's like never healthy.
I like Memphis a lot.
Yeah,
they got they got size, they got defense, they got a little bit of shooting, and I mean Jaw's missing 20 games, but
that's the only killer.
But they now they got Marcus Smart, which I think is going to help Jaw too. So I mean they could be an interesting team as well.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
I think they're one of those teams everyone expected to be good this year.
Right.
And like if Jaw's healthy, like they still have Desmond Bane back. They lost someone. They lost
Dylan Brooks.
Dylan Brooks.
But you replace him with Marcus Smart, who's like I think Brooks is the better offensive option. But when it comes to defense, I think like Brooks is a good two-way player, but I think Marcus Smart I think that's a good pickup right there. So I think they're pretty much in the same spot as last year. Like if Steven Adams doesn't get hurt, like
and Brandon Clark got hurt.
Yeah, they had so many injuries down the stretch. Ja got hurt, so like hey, like don't count out Memphis too, I guess, because like they'll have everyone back.
Right. I would say too. Don't forget Sacramento too. I mean, I think last year they had like the best offense in basketball, and defensively they weren't very good. But I mean, Mike Brown, once again, he's another defensive coach. Mm-hmm. He got the offense under control. If he can get the defense regulated, I think the Kings could be a dark horse NBA Finals team. I do.
I like the Kings. I like De'Aaron Fox's game a lot.
De'Aaron Fox.
I like De'Aaron Fox a lot.
I'm glad a lot of people are starting to finally realize how good De'Aaron Fox actually is, because he like flew under the radar for the first 3 or 4 years because they weren't winning games. But now that they made the playoffs, everyone realized, he's a really good player.
Right.
Like it's crazy how that works.
I remember I've said it on this podcast. I remember saying it as literally a 17-year-old kid. The Lakers took Lonzo Ball, which I think Lonzo Ball is a good player, but he's hurt a lot. But like I remember De'Aaron Fox literally scoring almost 40 points on Lonzo Ball in the NCAA tournament, and it's just like, how do people like? I thought he was a top 3 pick, yet alone 5th.
Yeah, Lonzo Ball might not ever even play again in basketball for him, real, but he's supposed to miss all of next year too.
Oh, that's crazy.
So he hasn't played about 2.5 years now.
I seen like the Bulls like try to do like a waiver thing to get his money so they can sign another player or something like that.
That's really a sad situation. It's like he's really
talented guy.
No, he is.
He is. I like him a lot.
He was really coming into his own in Chicago.
Good facilitator.
And then like he got hurt, and then like that pretty much the Bulls. I remember that year they were like a dark horse, not finals team, but maybe like a second round team that year with him and Levine and DeRozan. That's what I'm thinking of. But like they had a really good team that year, and like it's not a coincidence. Like once he went down, the Bulls kind of faltered because I mean he's a facilitator. He's like an elite defender. He can score. His scoring really improved. Like when he went to New Orleans and Chicago, and he was finally starting to put it together, and he was like looking like a legit all-star. And then like he got hurt, and that's just really sucks. And hopefully LaMelo Ball can stay healthy this year too, because he's like another fun guy to watch.
Right.
All the highlight reel plays he makes as well with Charlotte, and yeah, I mean we'll see. The Charlotte, they're another interesting team with like MJ like selling the team. They they drafted wasn't Scoot, it was
Brandon
Miller,
Miller, yeah, from Alabama.
Yeah,
he's looking great in the summer league, by the way. Brandon Miller.
What'd you say?
He looked great in his first game in the summer league and stuff.
No, yeah, of course. So did Chet Holmgren, and of course. But like, I don't know. Like, that's an interesting fit. I don't know how that's gonna work, but I mean, they're not gonna be very good next year either. I don't think Charlotte, but we'll see.
And they have Miles. I think Miles Bridges.
Yeah, I think he's coming back.
Oh yeah, he is coming back.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna be very good either. But we'll see. Maybe they'll challenge for a play-in spot or something.
Now, what you got?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
What you guys think of Wembanyama?
That dude's gonna be an animal. And, like, just watching him play, and, like, I'm not going to so much talk about him, but I brought up this point before, and I wanted to see what you think about it. Think about your best players in the league. You got Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic. You got Luka Doncic, Joel Embiid. I think those are arguably your top four. And your number one overall pick is considered the best prospect of all time, Wembanyama. What do they all have in common? They're all foreign players.
Right.
So, like, I just thought that's just, like, an interesting point that, like, basketball's, like, really worldwide now. So, like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, like, I remember like, seeing, like, on, like, podcasts and stuff, like, a lot of NBA players talk about how, like, the European games is all about skill. Like, them guys coming to the NBA, like, Luka came in skill, you know what I'm saying? Marketing came in as a game skilled, even though he played at Arizona, but he was from so like they really just Ginobili came in and established the Euro step, so it's like it's really skill based around that game more so as like in America, like you get the more athletic guys and stuff, but their game playing European ball is really polished, so it allows them to translate well in the NBA.
No, I think you made a good point there. You said polish. Most college guys, they're like really raw, and like they usually have a rough first year. And, you know, most European guys are foreign guys, like Jokic, like you mentioned, Giannis was a bit of a project too, but him, Jokic, Luka, those kind of guys, they came in, they were already, like, really good players. Like, there was really not much of an adjustment period. And now, Wembanyama, he's going to have to gain some weight, obviously, but, like, I think he's going to have a really good first year. And I think my issue with him, though, it's not so much him and his talent, it's, like, the media hype around him. I think when you start like saying the best prospect ever, and then you start saying like his peak's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and it's just like if he doesn't exactly live up to that, then like I hope people don't go around calling him a bust, because it's just that'd be really stupid.
A lot of pressure on him.
Sure. And it's just like I still think he's gonna be a great player. I do, but I mean, there's different levels of great, and I think some people's idea is like, oh, he's gonna be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Wilt Chamberlain, he's gonna have like 40 and 20. I think it's a little unrealistic, but I think, 27 and 10, I think that's definitely doable.
Right.
Like peak, and then his peak, I think he can average 30 and 12. I don't see why not.
Right.
Like 4 blocks, I can't see that. But I think the first couple of years, I think people need to take it easy. And I hope people don't just like expect him just to go in and he's gonna average 35 a game.
Right.
That's just so insane to even consider that. And I think a bigger issue, too, not even so much him, but in sports, we throw around the word bust too much, I think. Because I saw that, too, with, like, Kyler Murray on Twitter. People were talking about whether he's a bust or not. I was like, he's like a two-time Pro Bowler. What are you talking about?
He won Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, so it's I just don't, like, people throw out bust too much because guys don't come in and just dominate right away. Right. Even though, for most guys, there's an adjustment period. Now, there are those rare cases, whether it's LeBron, MJ, there's no adjustment period really at all. But, I mean, I think with him, it's going to be a mix of both. I think he'll come in playing really well. I think he'll win Rookie of the Year. But I think there's going to have those games where he just looks he gets outclassed. That's just part of being a rookie. But, I mean, I think he's going to be a great player regardless. So.
Even look at Kristaps Porzingis. He was being called a bust before he even played a basketball game.
Right.
And then like Giannis, like he averaged 6 points in his first season. So like you got to give players just some time to like be able to develop. But I do want to talk about that point too you made about how these players are more polished coming overseas. If you look at college basketball now though, like Duke's running a new offense every single year because they're getting one and dones every year. And like this is just like a side point, but personally, like I think watching like mid-major basketball is just as enjoyable or more enjoyable to watch than like an ACC game, because like you're seeing a bunch of one and dones and it's like kind of just like a lot of iso ball. Meanwhile, like if you watch mid-major play, like these are players that have played like 3 to 5 years, and they know like it's more of like a team basketball game, and you see more system play, and like you'll see more zones at that level, and it's not just like man-on-man iso ball. Like it's like you'll see like diamond traps, 2 threes, all kind of stuff. Not that they don't have it at like ACC level and stuff like that, but I don't know. That's just like my point, that like these one and dones, like it's like they're not getting the same as like someone in the EuroLeague, because like I feel like EuroLeague, you're already playing in a system at like Luka was playing in a system at the age of 15 or 16 years old. Like he already was playing team. So like when he comes over here and then all of a sudden gets that freedom to play in the NBA, he already has all his other stuff down, and he already has that basketball IQ. And like, yeah, that's why you're seeing players like him, and even like Kristaps Porzingis I brought up. Like he was a beast in the EuroLeague. He came right over here and was dominant. The only problem with him is like he just gets hurt a lot. But like when you're 7'3", it's tough to stay healthy. So.
Well, I think part of it too is like why guys come in so raw, especially American players. There's no continuity in college basketball. Like your top teams that always get the good recruits, whether it's Kentucky, Kansas, or Duke. Like they're rolling over teams every year. So guys, if they stayed for another year, even 2 years, I think you'd have a lot more guys come out of college more polished and more NBA ready. Guys come in the league, they're like sticks. They're not built. Like, I mean, they look like high school players. I mean, they are. They've played 1 year college. They're still 19, 20. Right. So it's just like if you stay 2 years, build some muscle, get some reps in the tournament, you play against better competition. Like it's just like the sky's the limit. I mean, we saw like most guys like
Donovan Mitchell played 2 years.
Right. He did. Yeah. Most guys are drafted like out of projections, not so much what you did on the court. A guy can average 4 points a game, shoot 35% from the field. Oh well, he has the most potential to be a superstar. It's just like, I mean, do we really know that? And then it's just, I don't know. I'd rather, like, it's just, there's like a stigma with, like, especially in NBA, where if you play more than 1 year, you're not like a top 10 pick. Like,
I was literally about to say that too.
You're not drafted until like pick number 20, 25. Like, it's just ridiculous. And some of those guys are more NBA ready. Like, I don't know. And there's guys in this past draft that will probably be more NBA ready than Scoot Henderson or Brandon Miller.
Right.
Like, it's just one of those
Especially
things.
like with those like Villanova guys like Jalen Brunson and Dante DiVincenzo and who else? Mikal Bridges. Like, those guys play like
all 4 years.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. And they're really good NBA players.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mikal Bridges though, like, and Jalen Brunson, like that just goes to show you that. Even another one, Cameron Johnson.
Right. Yeah.
Now he's getting paid $25 million a year. That's an Olsh guy right there. Mm-hmm. So it just goes to show that, like, sometimes staying an extra year. Another thing, too, is, like, another thing I don't understand is, like, yeah, it's cool to get a one and done. But sometimes your draft stock drops because you weren't a one and done. So, for example, Donovan Mitchell, that guy's a top 3 pick, but he wasn't taken until 13th because they were like, oh, wait, he played an extra year. Which I don't think that should hold as much value. Like, obviously, like, Scoot Henderson and, Wembanyama, like, obviously, these guys have only played, 1 year and stuff like that. But I don't think it should be the end-all, be-all, if you guys know what I mean.
Right.
Like, yeah,
right. I agree.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, you shouldn't get knocked for playing multiple years in college because, like, like you said, like, your game is more, you know what it takes more. Like, you've been in a system, so you know how to play team ball, especially, like, that's important becoming, like, a role player in the NBA because, like, you playing within your system, within your role. As for, like you said, like, coming in the league at 18, 19, like, you're still young, like, you're still not grown into your body yet. So it definitely going to take you time for develop. Like, sometimes you, like, they hit right away and sometimes they don't. So, like, yeah, like, I agree with that it shouldn't be knocked for playing extra 2 years in college.
Yeah, I do want to add, too, about the Kings, and we were talking about the EuroLeague, but they signed the EuroLeague MVP, Sasha Vezenkov, and he averaged like 18 points over in the EuroLeague. So I just wanted to add that about the Kings. So, like, I think, like, people are forgetting that, like, because even, like, Nikola Mirotic, for example, was able to make a big difference in, like, Chicago, for example, or Milwaukee. So I'm just saying, like, now this team signing like a EuroLeague MVP. I just thought that was a good note that, like you said, don't count out the Kings, just like solidifying your point there.
Yeah, I mean, I just want one more point though about that. Like, think about who's the best American player in the NBA right now. Just think about that for a second. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm just like, because like you said, Jokic, Giannis, Embiid. Like, those aren't American guys. Like, they're not.
You got AD, LeBron, and Steph Curry.
Kevin Durant,
KD.
One healthy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much like really. I mean that's still a great like 4 guys. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like the guys that are really like the top of the level. They're not American-born players.
Right. Even Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's from Canada, which I know like we're not talking like he's North American still, but like
yeah, I mean,
even then like you still gotta consider that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just crazy how like the game is like kind of changed into that, but at the same time like we're still getting good American players. So I'm just like. You're starting to see a trend in like these like EuroLeague players coming over and just being studs, like immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was part of the issue too. Like you said with Porzingis, there was a stigmatism because like Darko Milicic didn't pan out. Then like everyone had that preconceived notion that all European guys or guys overseas can't work in the NBA. That's just not true. I mean, yeah, you'll have your misses like him.
You'll have your Mario Hezonja
and your Andre Bargnanis. You'll have those guys, but you can also have a Jokic or Embiid. Like it's just
right.
Like you just can't judge off like where they come from. That's like really ridiculous, honestly. So
yeah, Embiid too. Like I just thought people were calling him a bust, like when he was hurt.
Well, if you can't, you're not even playing. How can you be a bust? It doesn't make any sense.
But you remember that. Like people were like, is he ever gonna play? Like,
right.
like what? They draft him?
That's funny. I do remember they said out of everyone in that draft, whether it was Wiggins, Jabari Parker, I think Zach LaVine was in that draft too. They said, Joel Embiid's he's gonna be the most likely to be a bust in that draft, and like. He was the best player in that draft, but by a landslide.
Julius Randle and Marcus Smart were in that draft, too.
Yeah.
That's a deep draft.
Yeah, it was. But, I mean, the point still remains that Embiid's by far away the best player in that draft, though. Like
he was, yeah, by far.
And, like, maybe Wiggins has had a good career, too. I don't want to knock him. I'm not. But, yeah, all those guys, really, with the exception of Jabari Parker, they've had solid careers. I mean, Jabari Parker's more like a tragic story because he just couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah.
But I mean, when he was healthy this first couple of years in Milwaukee, like you could tell, like he was gonna be a legit player though. But you know, injuries really.
Did he win Rookie of the Year?
I think it was Wiggins.
Was it Wiggins? Was it Wiggins or I think it was. Who? Because he had Julius Randle in that draft. I think it was Wiggins.
Because I know Julius Randle got hurt
the first game of the season.
Yeah,
I remember that, and then I think it was Wiggins. Yeah,
it probably was.
But Jabari Parker.
He had a pretty good year.
Yeah, Jabari. It was cool. Like it was cool seeing like Jabari Parker. Like his second year, he was averaging 20 points a game, 12 games into the season.
Yeah, Wiggins won Rookie of the Year that year.
But still, like it's a shame with Parker because when he did play, he was a good player, and even after 2 back-to-back season-ending injuries, he was still a solid guy, averaging like 14 points a game.
You know what the crazy thing is? He's only 27 years old. He's not even old.
I know.
He's already out of the league. 27 years old.
It's a shame because like another player too is like I'm gonna say it, Greg Oden.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying he'd be better than Durant, but like I really don't think that was that bad of a pick.
No.
If you look at how good he was in college and the size of him, and just like the dude was already a man coming out of and it's just like it was just a shame because he was hurt, like literally got hurt every year.
Yeah, it's there's just some things you can't. That's why I don't like throwing the word bust out there. Like I never really liked the word like, at all. I think like that's a classic case. Like a lot of that stuff that happened to Greg Oden, that was out of his control. Like, he couldn't control getting hurt. Guys can't control getting hurt. That's just part of sports, unfortunately. Like it's the same with football. Every sport you can think of, guys get hurt, and it's just like, oh well, he's a bust now because he got hurt. Well, no, it's just the nature of the beast. Some guys are fortunate to avoid injury than other guys. It just happens. Right. It's unfortunate, but that's just how it goes.
Yeah, and like it's crazy to see, and just like timetables too. I think like especially in baseball. Like, look at Jacob deGrom. Like, he didn't start until he was, like, 26. So I'm going back to our point. Right. But, like, a lot of players don't break out until they're older sometimes. It's just how it is.
I mean, so. I'll do a Pirates one just to rub salt in the wound, but Jose Bautista didn't really pan out till he was like 30 years old. He didn't take off till he was about 30 with Toronto.
It's because he was on Toronto.
Well, that, but like, yeah, I mean, like he was like viewed as a boss. I mean, he started out, I think it was Kansas City, wasn't good there. Pirates was up and down, and then a year after he went to Toronto, he hits like 50 home runs. And then
Brandon Moss too.
Yeah,
and Steve Pearce won
the
World Series MVP.
Listen, they had some players. They just didn't know like how to develop them and like utilize them. You can't say they didn't. So
yeah, it's always cool. Like Elias Diaz, All-Star Game MVP, like All-Star catcher. And you know what the Pirates need right now? A catcher.
So, well, they actually have 2 catchers on the roster. They have a third one that shouldn't be playing at all. It's playing.
Yeah, Endy getting caught up's cool, but like, yeah, I think like he just didn't look ready in his first 2 games, but I guess we'll see it. You have to have him up though.
Henry Davis should be playing catcher though, or at least DH. Like he shouldn't be playing right field.
Right field, yeah. You could just tell, like in right field, like the way he judges the ball. Like, the guy didn't even take, like, 2 steps back.
No, it's just...
like, that guy, he probably hasn't played right field since he was in the league.
Yeah, because he's not a right... That's why. He's like, he looks lost out there because that's not his natural position. He's a catcher. And it's just like, I don't... You're probably better off putting Endy out there because, like, he can play, like, multiple positions. He's not just a catcher. He can play first, and I believe he can play second. I think he plays some outfield, too. So, you're probably better off having Endy play the outfield, honestly. That's probably not going to be a great thing either, but, like... I don't know. I think he's at least played some outfield, but that's another story.
Yeah, well, it seems like we're on baseball again. But I do want to. I had a point earlier, and I'm gonna jump around here. But Houston Rockets. I just want to talk like a little bit about them. So they got Dylan Brooks. They signed Fred VanVleet to like $42 million a year.
That's ridiculous.
Which is like he's a good player, but like, come on now.
That's kind of crazy.
And then you got Jock Landell. You drafted one of the Thompson twins. Get Jeff Green. Where do you see the Rockets in a couple years? Because like I think like with Jalen Green.
Wait, they signed Jeff Green.
Yeah.
And they got
Jalen Green,
Ugoda. What's his name? I can't say his name.
Which one?
Ime Ugoda or
Ime Udoka.
Udoka, yeah, the coach, yeah.
Oh yeah, the coach, yeah. I think like in a couple of years, like with Jalen Green and there's a SAR and Amen Thompson. Which one did they? Which Thompson did they get?
I think it
was. I think it's Amen. Amen. I
think it's Amen. Yeah, but like that's besides the point. They're practically like the same player.
Same player.
But But yeah, like you have him. You have Jalen Green. Like Dylan Brooks, he's still young too.
Jabari Smith.
Yeah,
and you have Alfred Sengun.
Sengun. Yeah, Sengun's good.
It's hard to say his last name.
Sengun had a breakout year last year.
Did.
Like and like even Jabari Smith like. From Auburn, he was a beast there, and Jock Landell still young. He played for the same areas.
I like him.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah. Like he's really good at spacing the floor and just got size too. So
they're gonna be an interesting team for sure. That like at best I can see him as like a play-in for sure.
Yeah, I think like if all, I think
they could honestly.
If all goes well, I think they could be a play-in team next year. But I think really you're looking at like 2 years from now when they'll actually be a playoff team. I think because they'll probably still have lottery picks, at least another. So add to that roster. Udoka did great things in Boston, took them to the championship. So I think I'm not gonna say they'll win the finals, Houston, in like 2 years, but like they're gonna be a lot better shape than they have in the past 3 years. It's been pretty rough down there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely gonna be in better shape, and I mean. I definitely think like there's a spot open for them in the play-in.
Yeah, I mean, there's always someone that's in every league. There's always that team that makes it the 1 year and they miss the next year. So I'm sure, I don't know who that will be, but I'm sure someone will miss it next year.
I just hope the Mavericks make it this year because it's like, what a collapse. But, I mean, they re-signed Kyrie. You have Luka back, but I just feel like they really didn't address a lot of like their depth issues in the offseason at all.
I feel like it's still got like no really defense like that. For sure. Mm-hmm. I know they drafted a center, Lively from Duke, which they needed some rim protection. But other than that, they really don't have a lot of 3-and-D guys.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And even Lively, too. Like, ACC tournament, he looked really good. But, like, offensively, he didn't give you much last year. Yeah. So, like, I think, like, that's good that they drafted him. But I don't think he was the most NBA-ready player that, that they needed.
Right.
Like, I think they needed to go out and But I think he could be a good player, like, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, he has a tremendous upside. He's athletic.
Right.
Yeah, so.
I don't want. I have to go though. Like,
Yeah.
I have like a Zoom meeting. Like I actually have to attend. So
Yeah, sounds
you guys
good.
can keep talking if you want, but I have to go though.
Yeah, sounds
Do you know how to save and all that stuff?
I do, yeah. I'll send
Okay.
it to your email.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I think that's a good stopping point at that. Justin has to abandon us and leave us.
Yes, I do. I'm sorry.
Last one to come in, first to leave.
That's how it goes.
I was teasing. Hey, thanks for joining us, Justin.
No problem.
Yeah. Hey, but anyways, that's a great stopping point. And probably our most entertaining end to a podcast. But I will say this. Thank you so much for joining us, Kavon.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me, man. I had a blast.
Yeah, thanks again. And please come on again. Like, we're always looking for guests.
For sure. Most definitely.
Yeah, but anyways, everyone out there, thank you for listening. We're about an hour and 20 in. So if you're still here, thank you so much. And you can join us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast. You guys have a good one out there.